Welcome. My name is Thomas, and I'm joined here by Carlos to talk about security baselines and app control in Windows Server 2025. Welcome to the show, Carlos.
Hey Thomas, how you doing?
Doing well. Again, excited to have you here. And we have obviously some very interesting topics today to talk about. So, first, let's cover security baselines. Can you tell me a little bit more about security baselines and how do they protect Windows Server?
Sure. Many IT pros has been dealing with Windows Server for a very long time, as you know, and we have a variety of solutions for them during the years. What's new now is in Windows Server 2025, we release alongside the product a new capability that is inbox, and also it comes natively integrated with PowerShell that allows IT pros and security operators to apply security baselines to Windows Server very quickly and very easily. Why? Well, we live in a world with cybersecurity is a big threat for everyone, and everyone wants to stay safe. As you know, Windows Server is a 30 plus year old product, and we cannot always do a basic setup that works for everyone. So from the product group, what we're trying to provide is solutions for those customers who wants to take that step up and in security and make that default installation more secure and more aligned with industry standards. I will explain to you more in a bit.
Awesome. This sounds fantastic. And again, making things easier to secure systems sounds like a very good thing to happening, especially in today's world. So you already said we have a new experience, right? And you'd like to explain a little bit why IT pros should care about this. Um, can you tell me more about that? And also, what tools are available to actually use this?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm actually super excited about this because I was an IT pro before I joined Microsoft a long time ago, and I still feel their skin, right? I mean, it's super hard to maintain and to be current when it comes to protect your ecosystem. Many of those they have multiple flavors of Windows Server. But they might have multiple flavors of other products or operating system running on their networks. So what we hear is we want Microsoft, to just be very prescriptive. Give me a recipe that I can almost blindly go and apply to my systems. You guys are the expert. You know how to make better the product, make it more secure. Just tell me how, right? I'll do it easily. And that's basically what this change is for. Um, and obviously, the big, I think, leap in faith comes with what we have done differently in this release. So in this release, we took all the knowledge that we had for previous year, for previous baseline that we had, we put them together, we updated with the latest uh, features and capabilities coming in Windows Server 25, and we prescribe three baselines for three major roles that we always had in Windows, being domain controller, member server, or domain join system, and a workgroup scenario. And we prescribe those three, and we make them available with basically one line for you to apply each of them. As simple as that. How that sounds.
Yeah, that sounds almost too good to be true. So
Right?
I really like that because I remember like the old times where it was very hard, like right to secure and harden your systems. And so yeah, super looking forward to that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so obviously there's obviously like okay, now the question is how can we apply this and make that happen?
Yeah, for sure. So we have various tools to be integrated with. You asked me what tool do we use. So we had this base of using PowerShell base integration and then building other solutions on top of it. So right now, the security baseline for 25 can be used from PowerShell directly, can be used through Windows Admin Center. So the security extension now comes with the security baseline for Windows Server 25, and also is integrated with Azure Policy Machine Config. So what
Awesome.
else do you want? Yeah.
To be honest, this sounds already fantastic to me. Again, it's great to have like PowerShell as the common like part, like everyone can use, but then you can also use like Windows Admin Center and Azure Policy. So obviously the question now is, can you show us that?
Of course, I can show you. Yes,
Okay.
let's jump to the lab. Okay, so as you can see, Thomas, I have a Windows Server 25, a very basic vanilla installation. It is a domain join computer, and obviously the first thing that I have is my Windows PowerShell window. You can see I already went ahead and installed this component. A very nice thing that we did, I think it's very nice, is we wanted to be agile. One of the things that we wanted to avoid is to want to guide customers to make a change or react to an active threat that we can solve through the baseline and wait for the normal releasing of an update. So we extracted the payload. So while the component is built in Windows, the payload, basically the baseline settings, are coming directly from PowerShell Gallery. That means that I can approve a change in PowerShell Gallery now, and in an hour, it's going to be available through everyone in the world. That's how we want to treat security and be able to react very quickly to any active threat. I think that's a great move for us. So when you have Windows PowerShell in place and you have the module, basically the only thing that you need to do is to run one of the commands that we have already available in our documentation. It's super easy. It takes basically a one-liner that I just copy paste here for you. Um, let's see if I can find it. Always copy pasting. There you go. So basically, what we have is those scenarios that I mentioned to you for domain controller, member server, or workgroup. And basically, this simple liner is going to tell me, go and apply the baseline with all the default settings. I could probably talk to you about through hours about what other options we have there, but let's take it to the basic first, and then if you feel so excited, we can just take again another day, and I'll show you more details. But this is basically going to go and process the baseline, do all the magic in the background, and is zero interaction for you. So one of the things that you may want to ask me that you didn't is what if I want to create an image out of this, right? Like that the majority of the Windows Server base installation is running on VMs. Well, that's simple. You apply this in your vanilla image. You sysprep this guy, and that's it. You're ready to go. You don't even need to do this anymore. Okay.
So this is actually perfect. So basically, around 2 lines of PowerShell, and I have the default recommended baselines already on my machine.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's it. Basically, now your system is secure. The only thing you need to do is to go on restart. Okay. So we did a few more things. So we have some other scenarios in our documentation. We also look into or a specific anti-malware, antivirus protection. As you might know, our default solution from Microsoft is called Microsoft Defender Antivirus. So we do have a recipe for that too. And we basically partner with the Defender Antivirus team to create a server recipe that works on server scenarios. So for completeness, you would like to also apply the Defender Antivirus one. That will just bring from the default settings on antivirus to a more prescribed set of settings that are more security oriented, if you want, for those customers who wants to push the boundaries in the Defender Antivirus. That will apply things like ASR rules, attack surface reduction rules, and things like that. You see, this is immediate. So the only thing we need to do is to reboot this machine. So I'm just going to go ahead, restart this guy, and wait a minute with you until it comes back. How that sounds?
Sounds okay.
So while we wait, I take the freedom to show you how this machine looks in Arc. As you know, there is a native integration in Windows Server 25 with Arc. It's a very easy process for you to connect your system to Arc. And in particularly, what happened is this same machine, it was previously assessed with the OR security baseline. You can see it doesn't look great, right? I mean, this assessment of compliance, it could look better. I think we all agree on that. So what is going to happen is while this guy reboots, then the Arc agent is going to refresh this assessment. It's going to upload it. And hopefully by the end of the conversation, I'm going to hit refresh, and I'm going to show you how this looks in a minute. And basically, as you know, everything that took to me is 2 liners of PowerShell to get it ready. Okay, so let's go back to the system. It should be already here. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to show you is the integration with Windows Admin Center. I showed you before, or told you before, that we have this native integration with Windows Admin Center. And basically the experience is the same. You see this guy already reboot, and you can see that all the setting that the system is expecting to have, it is already applied. So you can see each individual setting, what we're expecting to see from compliance and what's the reasoning. Basically, there is various operators to help define this compliance state, you see. And obviously, you can go on filter by different things. And if there is anything that it is not compliant that I can show you if you want, put something not compliant, I'll show here. So in the case that this system was not previously applied the baseline, for you to go and apply the baseline is just getting into Windows Admin Center and getting into the security baseline. And in this case, we're going to try to auto-detect the role, one of those roles, one of those scenarios, and then apply and maintain. As you can see, Windows Admin Center is already understanding the baseline is already applied, so there is nothing for you to do. Okay. Okay. So let me just go back to the PowerShell. So basically, that's all it is, right? I mean, there is nothing else for a customer to do. One of the important things that you can do if you want is to see the same compliance that you're seeing in Windows Admin Center through PowerShell, because actually the compliance is built in the module. So both PowerShell natively or through Windows Admin Center, I'm going to show you that information. This is basically metadata that we have in place within the module. And basically, this is basically telling me, hey, do you have any setting that is not compliant? As you can see, if I go to see the compliance state, it's going to tell me there is still few that are not compliant. That's expected, actually. We have few settings that we want you to put some information in it. Obviously, we don't want to prescribe how you want to call your local administrator or your local guest account, or which message do you want to expose when you log in. And basically, we have in our documentation that technically you can just go and configure those. If you want, very quickly, let me just go on and set those through. So basically, I have 4 lines. I'm going to just shoot them in the VM, and basically that is just going to create a welcome message and rename my local accounts. That's all. I mean, for fully completeness, that's all you need to do to have your Windows server ready to rumble.
Fantastic. No, this looks really good and simple to me, and it makes perfect sense. And again, I like that you can do it like multiple ways, right? You can use PowerShell, but you can also use Windows Admin Center if you want to, and then also get the visibility with like Azure policy. So I really love that.
Yep. So what else do you want me to show you?
Yeah, another question I have is actually that many customers care about external security best practices, like CIS, for example.
Yep.
Is there something for them?
Yes, for sure. Actually, I'm super glad that you're asking me this question, because so OS config and baselines are coming together for a reason. It's important to notice that OS config is a multi-platform solution. So we are delivering OS config also to Linux world, and particularly where we are committed to provide to customers a very easy way to align with those external security standards. Here in the United States, as you know, the government uses something that we call a stick, which is basically a set of security best practices to be implemented through products and operating systems. And in the world, CAS is a very common benchmark for customers to understand how their security posture looks like in compared to them. So what we did is we not only create this scenario of tooling to apply that baseline very quickly, but we also make sure that across all those settings that we have in the baseline, that we are very aligned to those standards. So I can probably say that when you apply the Windows Server 25 baseline, you're going to be by default after these few liners that we already shown, 90+% compliant with both CIS and STIC. And this is a big achievement because in the past, customers were taking hours and hours of work to understand the impact of those settings. So, and talking about impact, let me tell you this, right? That's why every time that somebody talks to me about baseline, I feel so proud of the team that I represent here today. Is we took months of validation. So for those who don't know, this baseline is not just let's grab settings, put them together and align with CIS or STIC, is does this actually work with my Windows Server features and capabilities? Does it work with cluster well? Does it work with file server well? Does it work with print server well? Does it work with what we call, as you know, hyperconverged scenarios, right? Hyper-V, VMs, and all that. The answer to all that is yes, we test them all. We test them through months to make sure that you don't only have a very easy to apply baseline, not only it is secure and aligned with CIS and STIC, but also is ready for you to use. Hopefully that's good enough for you to go start testing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is very important. I think, like, again, very proud of what your team did on this to actually make sure and validate this. Because again, as you mentioned very early in the video, obviously Windows Server comes with a ton of features and capabilities, and it's obviously hard to figure out, hey, okay, like, does this all work together? So yeah, really, really good work on that. And speaking of the past, we used to have the security compliance toolkit. So is this still a valid path, or what's up with that?
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, actually, the SCT team, it is basically a sibling team in my organization. We collaborate a lot. We did a lot of work in order to define the Windows Server 25 baseline. So one of the two things is SCT is a more reduced set of settings for various reasons. But still they're valid. I mean, it's 100% valid. You can consider a CT or Security Compliance Toolkit basically as a subset of this baseline. For those customers that they want to start with a baseline, it is a step to do something, can be a CT, or if they want to go like a full throttle, they can apply this baseline that basically has almost 50% more setting than SCT today. And the other thing is we looked so deeply into CIS and STIC alignment, while SCT, it is more like a product feature owners providing a visibility or what would be a more opinionated security configuration for that specific setting. But yeah, both are valid path forwards. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Carlos, on this. So before we move to application control, is there anything else you want to share in terms of baselines, or should we move on?
So I would like to show you how it looks in Azure policy. I think we need to wait a little bit. You see the refresh started. Now we have like a way more better green Dana, right? So I think it's still, it might need another pass to get the defenders, because that's what I see, the majority of the defender or the configuration of accounts that needs to be refreshed. So let's just talk about app control and get back here to see how the compliance looks like. One important thing, though, that I wanted to tell you, Thomas, is many customers are asking us, can I configure the baseline through Azure policy? So The answer today is not yet. Okay,
Okay.
so Azure policy can be used to provide these like at scale compliance view for all those systems with the baseline applied, but we're heavily working for you to have a mechanism that with the same approach that we took, a vanilla, a raw installation of Windows Server, maybe domain join, maybe not, you can Arc enable it, go to Azure policy and push the baseline, not only for reporting and compliance, but also to set all those settings from there. So stay tuned for more.
Sounds fantastic. I think that is a question which will be coming up a lot if they see this. So yeah, looking forward for that feature especially.
Yep.
So
So
let's
let's talk about app control, right? Yeah.
yes, let's shift to app control. So can you like tell me a little bit what app control is and why it is important?
Yeah, basically, we use the term app control as a mechanism native capability in Windows, both client and server, to limit the trust boundary of your system. Basically, what kind of binaries you can use, you can execute, and you can load, and how much you trust that thing, right? How much you trust that piece of code that you downloaded from somewhere. As you know, malware, ransomware, and the majority of the threats floating around in the internet are coming in the form of a package that has a file in it, right? So it's a file that at some point you go and execute. So if that file it is a compiled file, then it will become a binary file. That binary file can be protected through app control in many ways. How? Basically, we draw a trust boundary. Everything that we think it is signed properly with something that we trust will be allowed to trust. Everything else, it will not. As simple as
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this sounds really like something customers should really use app controls on their servers. Is that the case?
For sure. I would say if I am in front of a customer and I tell them, I cannot believe you don't have any form of app control or how that is called as a whitelisting capability implemented in your systems, you're putting yourself in a high risk position. It can be a native solution like the one that Microsoft and Windows provides. It can be a third party at the end of the world where we want our customers to be secure. If you look into what Microsoft Windows provides in the client world, that is called today Smart App Control.
Mhm.
And in Windows Server, this is called App Control for Business, previously known as Windows Defender Application Control. So using OS Config as a platform capability, we not only deliver a baseline security, but also we deliver an app control scenario. So basically using the same tooling, the same experience, you can also now create this line of trust between what you trust and you will not execute.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. So I'm really like happy to dive into this a little bit. But can you also tell me? I mean, we talked now about Windows Server 2025. What is new with the app control experience in Windows Server 2025?
Yeah, but basically, app control, like a component capability, has been there for quite a few years. Actually, we started in Windows Server 2016. What is new in 25 is basically this OS config layer being able to configure app control in a way similar to what a customer would do with Intune on a client. So with an OS config, Windows Admin Center in the feature, Azure Policy in the feature for the server world. Basically, is this seamless experience, super easy one-liner approach for you to say, okay, from now on, anything that I don't trust, it just won't run on my system.
Awesome. So my question again, can you show us that? And we can switch to your demo again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Let's jump to the lab VM. And again, I'm just going to go ahead in my PowerShell. So it's the same module, Thomas, so you
Mhm.
don't need to download anything different. It is within the same module. We do have a scenarios for security baseline, and then we have a scenarios for app control. So the only thing you need to do is to specify which scenario you want to set. Something interesting, I don't know if I told you before, is um, OS config. I'm going to type, right, instead of copy pasting because even though we do a lot of typos while we type, It is commonly good accepted that we do provide auto-completion. So that's what we did. So you don't actually need to remember any of this. You just need to know that there is an scenario called app control. I'm
Okay.
tapping, and you can see that while I'm tapping, these scenarios are going to autocomplete for me. So there is not much for you to do. You just need to go and you see a start tapping. So basically, we created two scenarios. And then I'm going to explain to you what those are. So we
Hmm.
create one that is called default policy, you see, and then if I tap back, and another that is called app block list policy. Basically, what this is we have a base scenario for app control that is going to put basically some controls in your system that is going to say anything that is not Microsoft Sign is not going to run.
Hmm.
And then on top of it, we know there is uh, applications of software that can be abused, or we know they have a vulnerability that it can be cause malicious effects on your system. In the app control team, which is another sibling team for my organization, they maintain these what they call a user mode or application list of malicious applications. And what we do is just integrate that for you to use it. So again, you don't need to go anywhere to think about it or to search about it. You just apply this. Thing like,
Okay.
for example, debuggers, right? You don't want to run debuggers in your operating system. You apply the app block list. And basically, no debugger will be running your system, even though it is signed by a Microsoft signature that you trust. You see the difference?
Yeah, yeah, that makes
Okay,
sense.
yeah.
Like you can like all like tools which are could be used for malicious activities, right? Like basically
Exactly.
get blocked.
Yeah, and probably you don't want those to be running on a production
Mhm.
server who is offering services to a bunch of, you know,
Yeah.
clients or people, etc. Okay, and then each of those has two modes, and that's a little bit of the tricky part. We have this enforce mode, and
Mhm.
then you have this audit mode.
Mhm.
So what I recommend, because it is obvious that on the server world, customer has a lot of third-party applications. Obviously, right? You install your image and then you install other third-party applications. If you go with full enforce mode, you won't be able to run any installer for any third-party application,
Mhm.
whatever would you think
Mhm.
of. So what we are asking customers to do is you rather want to start in audit mode,
Mhm.
then you install all your third-party applications, can be installers, can be standalone executables. While you are in audit mode, all that information will be recorded in the event log of the system.
Okay.
And so then you can augment with what we call customize customer application policies, which is create your list, basically your prescribed list. Okay, my production system will have this list of applications. You create a policy that will allow everything from Microsoft plus anything for my third party. And that's
Yeah.
when you go and you put the lock on it. From now
Okay.
on, nothing else will run. And that's basically the process. So for the purpose of this demo, Thomas, because we don't want to spend 3 hours talking about this today, I'm just going to go ahead and apply this in enforce mode.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the policy is in place. Good thing about app control is activates immediately. So you don't need to reboot, you don't need to do anything. To preview so, I do have one set of applications here for the demo of today. This is a Microsoft legacy application. Probably you know about it. It's called Core Info. It
Mhm.
provides information about your CPU and stuff like that. But it's an old version. It is a version that is signed with an old certificate. And so
Mhm.
we don't trust it anymore. So that's
Yeah.
basically the spin that you're going to get. You can see that it's automatically blocked, so you cannot run it. And exactly same thing if you try to use a third-party application. That's it,
Yeah.
simple like that. If you try to run it through command line, you're going to get a similar error in a command line format. But basically, the error is you cannot run this application, period. Okay.
Okay.
So from here, when you're in enforce mode, that's it, right? If any of those applications is something that you want to run, then you need to go and create this additional policy.
Awesome. So yeah, to be honest, like looking at this now, I think app control really is something everyone should like implement, especially because you also showed me how actually easy it is now to like say, hey, I'm going to do audit mode. I'm going to like install my applications, the ones I
Yeah.
trust, and then use those for that environment. So yeah, this looks to
Yep.
me very, very.
So yeah, so if you want to remove the enforce mode, it is again a one-liner. So you would
Mhm.
go and say, okay, let me go and remove. Um, I'm just gonna go ahead and do remove. Okay, a scenario, and then you pass the same scenario before. Right. In this case, we'll use the force, so it
Yeah.
doesn't ask me, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And then you can see that now it just ran. Well, those are CLI application, but you can saw uh, behind me that they
Yeah.
already
That's it.
executed in the back. You see,
Yeah.
um, that's it. That's how simple you can add or remove. So from here, what you could do definitely is go instead of enforce mode, in audit mode. So
Mhm.
in audit mode, basically you will allow those applications to run. So still they run, but now they leave a track behind. And so
Okay.
with that information in the event log, that's how you basically are going to create these what we call supplemental policies. Now you may want to ask me, okay, so how I create the supplemental policies? Well, that's a little bit of a tinkering because it can contain multiple applications. What we did in this space very quickly is to create experience for Arc enabled system. You know the potential of the cloud, right? And what happened when you enable Arc. So one of the beautiful things that you talked in the past about Arc enabling systems is that you can get a lot of insights, monitoring, Defender for Cloud, you name it, right? Things. So one of the things that we did is to enable a workbook for you to consume those events. So basically, we had a GitHub page. I think we can put that on the description, where
Mhm.
you can see the GitHub page with two buttons to deploy the workbook and the DCR. As you know, the DCR is the data collection rule that will collect these 4 events that we need to create supplemental policies. So now, probably the next question is how it looks like. So
Yeah.
please ask me because I want to show you. Uh, so if we go to I do have it over here. This is basically the workbook that we created for app control. Um, so let me just go ahead and refresh it quickly. Um, that's where not only for this VM or this system, but that's where you can, as you know, condensate hundreds of your systems together and not only use it to create supplemental policies, but also to understand if someone or something is trying to execute when you're in enforce mode, you will see that. So
Mhm.
we created this workbook where you can see all the information about all the VM. Right now, you can see in the last 24 hours, there is just this guy running, but you can filter through them and you can see all the events for the last 7 days. This is me testing before jumping on a call with you today. And you can see already that it's been multiple activities, including 94 activities in audit mode and 2 blocks. Guess what? Those 2 blocks are the 2 action that I try to execute while talking to
Ah,
you. So
nice.
because I do have Arc with AMA, right? The monitoring agent automatically flows those events to the workspace and it gets reflected in here almost instantly. And then obviously we have multiple things. I don't have time today to show you, but maybe on another day, you can see already these guys and you can go and say, okay, let's what? Let's just see the block events. And you can see already those are the guys that we're just trying to execute. You can see the information of the core
Yeah.
information uh, executable. That's how it is. So all this information is gray out because of mask that I have, but I can assure you all the information is trying in here. Who did it? when did it, and what tried to execute. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's super powerful. That helps you to also audit what's going on in your system. And with this information, that's the next great thing we did, is we didn't stop there. So now
Okay.
you can export all that information with a click of a button, export it into an Excel file, save it, and then I don't know if you know, but I'm going to tell you, the App Control for Business has a standalone tool that is called App Control Wizard. So now you can inject this Excel document into the wizard, look through that data, and create a supplemental policy that you can just go and inject into the system. So basically, we kind of try to make this whole experience of crafting policies easier for you, and that's kind of the process. Yeah.
This is fantastic. I love this because like there's obviously two things I think now what like is important to this as well. Like so first of all, you made it super easy to get like maps in, right? Like to understand like to create that supplemental package as you mentioned. That's one thing. But then when you showed me now this, I was like, if I have to manage hundreds or thousands of machines and servers, I mean, it's great that this like is blocked, right? But how do I get the information centrally somewhere where I can see like immediately or almost immediately what is going on? Did something happen somewhere, right? And I think this really shows the power like of like this of Windows Server and Azure together with Azure Arc coming together. I think I love this. Like again, this makes it so easy to find like what's going on. And I'm sure this will help a lot of customers.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure too. So yeah, thank you for having me today. It was great to show you all those experiences that we created through OS config for baseline and for app control. I'm happy to come back to you anytime you want to go deeper into any of those sections if you feel to.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more we should definitely talk about. So thank you very much, Carlos. And obviously, before we end this, like if people want to learn more about this, where should they go?
Yeah, so we have a nice set of documentation in our learning docs, where we have the two experiences that I showed to you and links through everything else, like the GitHub, the workbook, the command list that I use, links to Windows Admin Center, so everything should be there. Happy to, documentation is a never-ending work, but if you guys feel like there is something missing, please ping my door. I'll make sure that we amend that as much as possible.
Awesome. And we obviously will put all the links in the documentation and the script description below. Make sure you like this video and hit the subscribe button. And thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.